Hermes, an Olympian deity in ancient Greek mythology, is regarded as the divine messenger of the gods and protector of travelers, thieves, merchants, and orators. Believed to be the son of Zeus and Pleiad Maya, Hermes is renowned for his role as a spiritual guide, where he escorts souls into the afterlife. This fast-moving god, aided by his winged sandals, navigates with ease between the mortal and divine realms. Additionally, he is characterized as the divine trickster, a concept heavily elaborated in the Homeric hymn to Hermes. Hermes' emblematic attributes encompass a range of symbols, from the Herma, rooster, and tortoise to the palm tree, goat, the number 4, various fish species, and incense. However, the caduceus, a winged staff intertwined with 2 copulating snakes and carvings of other gods, is his main symbol. The Etruscan god Termes, Greek Herma, borrowed many of these attributes from Hermes. In Roman mythology, the figure of Mercury closely mirrors Hermes' characteristics, with the name Mercury springing from the Latin word for merchandise, merx, further giving birth to the terms merchant and commerce. The name Hermes, with its earliest form, Hohermahos, inscribed in the linear B-syllabic script, is generally believed to be derived from the Greek word herma, which translates to stone heap. Yet, the etymology of Herma is unclear, and many scholars suggest a non-Proto-Indo-European origin. Some also contest the speculations that the earlier form of Hermes signified one cairn, while others believe it might be linked with the Vedic Sarama. Hermes worship is considered to be pre-Hellenistic, but its precise origins and initial nature remain unascertained. Some theories propose that Hermes originated as a Mesopotamian snake, god akin to Ningish Zeta, a deity serving as an intermediary between humans and divinity. Especially with Ishtar, this god also appeared in artworks as a caduceus. Others propose that Hermes was based on the Thoth archetype in particular. The attributes of Hermes and Thoth were merged post-Homeric era among Greeks and Romans. Established in remote regions of Greece, Hermes' cult was most likely an embodiment of nature and an object of devotion for farmers and shepherds initially. Subsequently, the nickname outshone the original moniker, and Hermes evolved into the god of messengers, voyagers, and boarders, roles originally held by Pan. Pan continued to hold reverence under his initial name, particularly as the god of the wild, especially in the relatively remote mountainous region of Arcadia. The narrative suggests that Pan was considered Hermes' son after his reinstatement in Attica. As Greek culture and art progressed, so did Hermes' persona. During the archaic Greek period, he was portrayed as a mature traveler, a shepherd, or a messenger. He was often depicted on the Hermai, which functioned as boundary markers, roadside landmarks, and grave markers, as well as votive offerings. By the time it was classical and Hellenistic Greece, Hermes was characterized as a youthful, athletic man without a beard. As logios or speaker, his attitude matched that role. Famous statues from this period by Phidias and Praxiteles show him holding baby Dionysus. Across Hellenistic times, the Roman era, and in Western history till today, Hermes can be identified by his characteristic objects, although not all of them are present at once. Prominent among these objects is the Petassos, a wide-brimmed hat used for sun protection in antiquity, which later fashioned wings in some representations. The hat is missing and replaced with hair-sprung wings. Another prominent item is the caduceus, a rod entwined by 2 snakes, occasionally topped with wings. Historically associated with Hermes, it was also a symbol for the Babylonian god Ningish Zeta, who, like Hermes, acted as a mediator between humans and the divine. The caduceus often represented peacemaking and authority, and it would make people sleep or wake up. Although other Greek gods have wielded it, it primarily symbolizes Hermes. A similar symbol, the rod of Asclepius, belongs to the god Asclepius, son of Apollo, and is the badge for most Western physicians. Moreover, Hermes' sandals, known as pedila by Greeks and talaria by Romans, were crafted from palm and myrtle branches, depicted as being made of exquisite artistry. These golden sandals facilitated Hermes in moving at wind, speed. In later artistic representations, these sandals started displaying wings. Some art even shows wings emerging directly from Hermes' ankles. He has also been shown with a bag or a purse and wearing a robe or cloak with the power to make him invisible. His primary weapon was a golden sword, which could kill Argos, as well as assist Perseus in slaying Medusa. Hermes, a major figure in ancient Greek mythology, was recognized from the earliest days of his worship as a deity firmly grounded to the earth and the underworld, hence his classification as a chthonic deity. Not only did he serve as a symbol of earthly connection, he was also associated with fertility and, more specifically, an emblem of potent masculinity capable of fathering offspring. An erect phallus, a primary symbol for Hermes, was incorporated into household entrances in the form of Hermit, potentially reflecting the belief that Hermes stood as the embodiment of the man of the house's child, producing capabilities. Hermes' link to the underworld also related to his role as a boundary god, marking the line between life and death. Regarded as a psychopomp, Hermes was venerated as a spiritual guide for the dead, leading their souls into the afterlife. His likeness commonly marked gravestones in classical Greece, attesting to his significant role at life's end. The peculiar association between Hermes and boundary stones known as Herma is also notable. Travelers would traditionally add a stone to these marker piles known as Herma, thus playing a part in the god's role as protector of boundaries and traveler. As time passed, such cairns evolved into more sophisticated depictions, such as the square stone or bronze pillars topped by busts of Hermes, notably bearded and crowned with a standing phallus, installed by Hipparchus in the Athenian central agora. In 415 BCE, prior to deploying their fleet for the Peloponnesian War, Athenians woke to find their Hermae cruelly vandalized. The event shocked the city, who saw it as the handiwork of saboteurs either from the enemy camp in Syracuse or from those opposing the war within their own city notably. Socrates' protege, Alcibiades, fell under suspicion, and this along with other accusations contributed to Socrates' execution years later. Lastly, as a deity with a talent for crossing borders, Hermes was revered as a messenger, seamlessly carrying messages among the gods, the mortal world, and the underworld. His iconic winged sandals, or, in Roman depictions influenced by Etruscan arts, a winged hat, personified his herald role. The chronicles of Hermes, an ancient deity, can be traced back to linear B inscriptions from Pylos, Thebes, and Knossos, which were recorded in the Bronze Age Mycenaean period. His name, often found alongside goddesses such as Potneja, Poseidea, Deuja, Dioia, Hera, Pere, and Epimedeia, signifies his deep-rooted affiliation with their cult. This correspondence continues in subsequent epochs, with Hermes being commonly revered within precincts mainly dedicated to goddesses like Hera, Demeter, Hecate, and Despone. Literature from Greece's archaic era portrays Hermes as both a protector and a trickster. Identified as the bringer of good luck, guide, and guardian, and one excellent in all the tricks in Homer's Iliad, he also gives Pandora dubious gifts such as lies and seductive words in Hesiod's works and days. The earliest known spiritual texts regarding Hermes are seen in the 7th century BIE Homeric hymns. Here, he is depicted as a shapeshifter, one with cunning, thievery, dream, bringing, and night-guarding abilities. Not only is he hailed as the inventor of the Chelys lyre, racing and wrestling, he is also linked to inventing dreaming. The cult of Hermes was particularly worshipped in Attica, as his exclusive Athenian god status was previously established by scholars. Pillar-like icons, known as Hermae, dedicated to Hermes, were dotted around the area. Demarcating boundaries and entryways, these markers initially started as stone piles, later evolving into carved wooden, stone, or bronze pillars. By the classical era, Hermes was designated as the patrons of travelers and sailors circa 5th century BCE. These Hermae also featured as grave monuments, underlining Hermes' role as a deity straddling the mortal and divine world. His role as the intermediary between celestial and chthonic realms and his depiction on libation vessels confirmed his association with facilitating divine-human encounters. Owing to his liminal character and mediating abilities between merchant-customer dynamics, Hermes was seen as the god of commerce, sudden prosperity, travel, boundaries, transitions, contracts, hospitality, sexual acts, games, data, luck, sacrifices, and fertility of the earth and cattle. In Athens, the depiction of Hermes' Aeon symbolized dominant Athenian naval strength, evidently evidenced in their defeat against the Persians under Simon's command in 475 BCE. With the expansion of Greek culture after Alexander the Great's conquests, there was a rise in syncretism or interpretatio Graeca, where Greek deities were paired with foreign counterparts. In Ptolemaic Egypt, for example, the Egyptian god Thoth was seen as the Egyptian version of the Greek god Hermes at the temple of Thoth located in Khemenu, which the Greeks later called Hermopolis. The two gods were worshipped as one. This resulted in Hermes acquiring the traits of a god of knowledge, interpretation, and translation. This blending of gods is evident in a letter sent by priest Petosiris to King Nechopso around 150 BCE, which highlights Hermes as the source of secret wisdoms obtained through religious ecstasy. Thoth's epithet, Thoth the Great, the Great, the Great, found in a temple at Esna, was applied to Hermes around 172 BC. This resulted in one of his most renowned titles, Hermes Trismegistus, or thrice greatest Hermes. Over time, this figure absorbed numerous esoteric wisdom traditions and became integral to Hermeticism, alchemy, and similar beliefs. By the 4th century BCE, the Romans had also adopted Hermes into their religion, fusing his characteristics and worship with their pre-existing Etruscan god terms, renaming him Mercury. According to St. Augustine, Mercury's name may relate to Hermes' role as a mediator. One who moves between worlds, Mercury gained widespread popularity among the Romans, evident from the countless images and shrines found in the ancient city of Pompeii. Interestingly, the Romans linked the Germanic god Odin with Mercury, a connection reinforced by both gods' association with the dead, eloquent speech, and secret knowledge. Hermes' later syncretism with the Egyptian god of the dead, Anubis, led to the creation of yet another composite god, Hermanubis. During the Roman imperial era, in the 4th century AD, the worship of the Greek god Hermes was almost entirely eradicated within the Roman Empire due to the Christian prosecution of paganism under Theodosius I. However, despite this clampdown, Hermes managed to maintain a presence among Christian scholars who perceived him as a prognosticator or spiritual guide of a mortal nature. Early medieval Christians, including Augustine, believed Hermes Trismegistus, a humanized version of Hermes, to be an ancient pagan prophet who foretold the rise of Christianity in his writings. Several Christian philosophers during the medieval and Renaissance eras held a belief in the existence of a Prisca Theologia, meaning they saw the common thread of truth connecting all religions. They used Hermetic writings and other ancient philosophical literature as a basis for their belief, arguing that Hermes Trismegistus either lived contemporaneously with Moses or that he was the third prophet in a line of prophets that included Enoch and Noah. Christian descriptions of Hermes were further enhanced by the 10th century Suda, which declared that Hermes was named Trismegistus, meaning thrice great, due to his reverence for the Christian Trinity, affirming that there is a singular divine nature in the triune God. During the classical Greek period, only 3 temples were definitively dedicated to Hermes, all of them located in Arcadia. There have been mentions of multiple temples belonging to Hermes in ancient literature, but this could refer to the universally present Hermes, small statues symbolizing Hermes, or smaller shrines of Hermes situated within other deity temples. Mount Selene in Arcadia, where Hermes was purportedly born according to some myths, had one of the oldest centers of worship for Hermes. The first temple there is said to have been constructed by Lycaon, and the Hermes cult is believed to have spread from there to Athens, and thereafter throughout Greece. The Romans built additional temples in honor of Hermes, referred to as Mercury by them, throughout their empire, including several in what is now Tunisia. Hermes was also venerated along with Aphrodite in temples in locations like Attica, Arcadia, Crete, Samos, and Magna Graecia. His association with the transition to adulthood, especially for soldiers and hunters, could be deduced from the numerous ceremonial votive offerings found in his temples. This can also explain why he is often depicted as a teenager in various icons and relics in temples and other vessels. Hermes was highly regarded as the patron of the gym and fighting, a fact which is evident from his statues in gyms and his worship at the sanctuary of the 12 gods in Olympia, the venue of the Olympic Games, where his statue was displayed on an altar dedicated to him and Apollo. Pausanias noted that there were the remnants of the temple of Hermes Acasesius in Megalopolis during his time. Furthermore, the Tricrina mountains at Phoenius were considered sacred to Hermes. This is because, as the legend goes, Hermes was bathed in their 3 springs by the mountain nymphs soon after his birth. The Hermaea was a festival in honor of Hermes, featuring athletic and gymnastic events possibly dating back to the 6th century BCE. This particular festival, reminiscent of initiations, strictly included only young boys, excluding adults. Certain epithets of Hermes further painted a vivid picture of his persona and origins. Atlantiades pointed to his lineage as son of Maia, Atlas's daughter. Argiphontes meant Argus slayer, referencing his vanquishing of the monster Argus Panoptes, who watched over Io for Hera. Selenian denoted his birthplace Mount Selene, where he was nurtured by the Oread nymph Selene. Additional insights into Hermes' role in ancient Greek culture came via the term cryophoros, which referred to the solemn act of a ram sacrifice and became synonymous with Hermes. His chief function was as a divine messenger, as evident in classical texts like Euripides' Electra and Iphigenia in Aulis. In the Odyssey in D, he served as a conveyor of spirits and a guide through the underworld, an apt, swift, good-running envoy per the Homeric phrase Sokos Erionios that was associated with him. The term impoleios, suggesting involvement in commerce, paired with depictions of him holding a purse and artwork implied he related to worldly transactions. No formal worship of Hermes Dalios existed in Attica, meaning this version of Hermes was merely conceptual. Scholars like folklorist Eleazar Meletinsky identified Hermes as a deity embodying trickery, stealth, and potential malevolence. Yet he was also said to be beneficial to mankind, having been sent by Zeus to educate humans about justice and foster stronger social ties. Notable for his persuasiveness and nocturnal manner of operation, Hermes tested boundaries, artfully blurring and crossing them. His amoral nature, akin to that of an infant, was evident in his worship as Dolios. Thus, in Greek mythology, Hermes embodied complex and contradictory aspects: a divine guide, a trickster, a savvy negotiator, and a messenger transcending earthly restrictions. The foremost thief, Autolycus, obtained his prowess due to his fervent offerings to his guardian, Hermes. Hermes, honored in a multitude of avatars such as Sthenelus, the patron of the Athenia Chaitri festival, and Strophius, the protector of doors and boundaries, is portrayed in Homer and Hesiod's works as a skilled trickster and benefactor of mankind. He is portrayed throughout the Iliad as a guide, guardian, and bringer of good luck, a divine ally of the Greeks against the Trojans. Despite his partiality for the Greeks, Hermes extended his protection to Priam and helped him retrieve Hector's body from the Greeks. He also freed Ares from imprisonment by Otus and Ephialtes. In the Odyssey, Hermes aids his descendant Odysseus by warning him about Circe's powers and teaches Odysseus to protect himself using a magical herb. He revealed Zeus's command to Calypso to release Odysseus from her island, enabling him to continue his journey back home when Odysseus eliminated his wife's suitors. It was Hermes who shepherded their souls to Hades. Instructed by Zeus to create Pandora, a curse upon humanity, Hephaestus was aided by all the gods, including Hermes, who gifted her with cunning, lies, and a questionable character. In Homeric Hymn 4, Hermes is celebrated as a brilliant schemer, dream-bringer, thief, and night watcher, whose divine antics amuse the immortals. It's interesting to note that Polytropos, a term used to describe Hermes, is also used to describe Odysseus in the Odyssey. Known for inventing various sports, including wrestling, Hermes is heralded as a patron of athletes. Aeschylus' The Eumenides recounts how, under a pseudonym, Hermes assisted Orestes in executing Clytemnestra. He is also regarded as the god of searchers and seekers of lost or stolen items in Euripides' Rhesus. Hermes aids Dolon in his espionage efforts against the Greek navy. Multiple fables by Aesop feature Hermes as a gatekeeper of prophetic dreams, a protector of athletes and edible roots, and a god of hospitality. Aesop also claims that Hermes apportions intelligence among mankind. Apollodorus unfolds the tale of Hermes, revealing his heroic acts in defending Olympus during the Gigantomachy and his role as a guide and guardian to a number of figures, including the young Dionysus, Hera, Athena, Aphrodite, and Hercules, to whom he gifted a sword. His role as an ally to Perseus also sees him aiding in the retrieval of Medusa's head poet. Enid of Tegea describes Hermes as the crossroads guardian, offering respite to the weary. Interwoven in these narratives of heroism and guidance, however, are episodes of seduction and scandal. Hermes woos goddesses and mortals alike. Peitho, the goddess of persuasion, is dubbed his wife by Nonnus, while Aphrodite, goddess of love, rejects his advances. Yet, with Zeus's sly aid, Hermes seduces her, leading to the birth of Hermaphroditus. Other divine and mortal loves of Hermes include underworld goddess Dira and Cretan princess Epimeneus, the latter seduction turning violent. He took Chione, a princess of Phocis, as a lover while she slept and sired a son. Similarly, Athenian princess Herse and princess Ibthyme of Doros bore him sons. His union with Arcadian nymph Penelopeia, in the guise of a goat, resulted in the birth of the half-god, god Pan. Mentioned also are his dalliances with the Oreads, mountain nymphs, and the nymph Tanagra. His divine genealogy extends to Pan, the god of nature, and Priapus in some sources. His grandsonship to Odysseus through his son Autolycus, the prince of Thebes, is also highlighted. There's an account of a thwarted pursuit of either Persephone or Hecate when her roar of anger frightened him off. In this weaving of myth and legend, Hermes stands as a figure of heroism, cunning, seduction, and sometimes even violence, his role varying as per the needs of the tale. Carl Jung viewed Hermes as a pivotal figure, the deity that bridged the worlds and thus symbolized the connector between conscious and unconscious mental faculties. In his eyes, Hermes worked as a guide for deeply personal internal journeys. He noted that Thoth and Hermes could be viewed as equivalents. In terms of Jungian psychology, the emphasis is notably on Hermes' relevance to the understanding of synchronicity, along with Pan and Dionysus. Hermes forms the very essence, or archetype, of Jung's psychological theories. Some even associate him with the healer archetype, considering the ancient Greeks attributed healing powers to him. In examining abnormal psychology, Samuels 1986 claimed that Jung considered Hermes to be the archetype of the narcissistic disorder. Yet this disorder was viewed in a positive light, as Hermes represented both the advantages and disadvantages of narcissism, according to Lopez. Pedraza, Hermes assumed the role of the guardian of psychotherapy. McNeely recognized him as a god involved in the practice of healing arts. Christopher Booker suggested that the multiple roles Hermes served in the ancient Greek ideology qualify him as a watchful guide during moments of transition. Further, Jung argued that Hermes, being a trickster, served as a guiding force throughout the psychotherapeutic process.